At first, I thought it was harmless. Just a hobby, something new for her to focus on. Megan said her friend, Emma, had started writing and loved it. She wanted to try it too, for exercise and peace of mind. She found a fancy stable, about 40 minutes away from our house. Private lessons, one-on-one with an instructor named Luke. Each session cost $120. I hesitated, but told myself it was fine. If it made her happy, I could live with the price. She came home after her first lesson, glowing with energy. Boots muddy, cheeks red, hair messy, but smiling wide. She talked about a horse named Chestnut like it was a new friend. She said Luke was patient and made her feel confident. I liked seeing her excited again. Work had been stressing her out for months. She said writing helped her feel alive again. I didn't realize how much that sentence would haunt me later. Every Saturday, she'd wake up early and drive out there. She'd come home late, sometimes after sunset. Always tired, always smiling, smelling like hay and perfume. Perfume, that was new. Who wears perfume to a barn? I laughed about it once, and she said it was just routine. She said it made her feel put together. I brushed it off, not wanting to seem suspicious. But small things started to pile up. She started wearing makeup to lessons. Red lipstick, mascara, foundation. Her outfits changed too, tighter jeans, nicer tops. She said the other writers dressed that way. She also started talking about Luke more. At first, just normal stuff. Luke said I'm improving. Luke told me I could compete someday. Luke thinks I have natural balance. Soon, every conversation had his name in it. She spoke about him like he was a celebrity. Her phone began staying in her hand all the time. She started locking the screen, keeping it face down. When I walked by, she'd angle it away. Her laughter got quieter when I was in the room. Still, she kissed me goodnight. Still, she said she loved me. So I kept pretending everything was normal. She began spending Sundays there too. Just more time with Chestnut, she said. Sometimes, she wouldn't come back until evening. I'd text her, and hours would pass before she replied. Her answers were short, vague, always tired. She said she was learning a lot. She said it helped her confidence. I told myself that was good. That was what a loving husband should do. But something inside me was uneasy. Like hearing a faint alarm you try to ignore. Her stories about the barn started to shrink. Less detail, fewer laughs, more silence. Every week, the distance grew, invisible but heavy. I didn't know it yet, but she wasn't just learning to ride horses. She was learning how to lie without guilt. And I was learning how easy it is to lose everything you trust. It didn't take long before things started to feel different. Megan became distant, distracted, always somewhere else in her mind. When I asked how her lessons were going, she'd sigh before answering. It's hard to explain, she said once. You wouldn't understand. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. We used to talk about everything. Now even small talk felt heavy. She started spending more time getting ready before lessons. Her hair perfect, perfume stronger, nails always done. I joked that she was trying to impress the horses. She didn't laugh. She said I was being immature. Her phone stayed glued to her hand from morning to night. When she wasn't texting, she was scrolling, smiling at nothing. If I asked who she was talking to, she rolled her eyes. Just Emma or the group chat, she'd say, then walk away. The warmth in her voice started fading. She stopped asking about my day, stopped noticing little things. Even dinners got quiet. She ate fast, then disappeared upstairs. When I followed, she'd say she was tired and closed the door. I told myself she was just stressed. Maybe the lessons were intense. Maybe she needed space. But space turned into distance, and distance turned into walls. One night, I came home early and found her in the kitchen. She jumped when I walked in, like she wasn't expecting me. Her phone screen went dark before I could see it. She said she was checking emails, but her voice cracked. I wanted to believe her, but my gut was screaming otherwise. She started spending entire weekends at the stable. Extra practice, she said. Luke said I'm improving fast. Luke again, always Luke. Every mention of his name made her eyes light up. When she talked about me, her tone was flat, almost bored. She said I didn't understand her passion, that I made her feel small. I didn't even argue, I just listened. Because something in her had already checked out. Her riding bag became sacred. She wouldn't let me touch it, wouldn't even let Buddy near it. Once, I saw her washing her gear late at night. She looked nervous, wiping every trace of dirt like it mattered. I asked if something happened at the barn. She said no, just keeping things clean. But her eyes didn't match her words. I noticed new clothes too. Tighter, fancier, not for riding, for impressing. And then, there were the weekends she didn't come home at all. She said she stayed at a friend's place after late lessons. I wanted to believe that, I really did. But belief started to feel like denial. Her kindness faded, replaced by defensiveness. Her laughter became rare, her patience disappeared. She wasn't my Megan anymore, just a version of her chasing something else. I didn't know what I'd lost yet, but I could feel it slipping. Every word, every glance, every quiet dinner told me the same thing. Someone else had her attention. And for the first time in 7 years, I realized I was completely alone. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. Work was slow, and my last meeting got canceled. I decided to head home early, maybe surprise her with dinner. Her car was already in the driveway, which was unusual. She usually stayed late on Thursdays, said she had deadlines. The house was silent when I walked in. No music, no TV, just quiet. I called her name, but there was no answer. Her riding bag sat half hidden under the side table. Normally, she kept it locked away in the closet. This time, it was open, gloves and papers spilling out. Something in me said to look closer. Tucked inside a folded manual was a small note. Her name written on the front in messy handwriting. I unfolded it with shaking hands, even before thinking. It said, "You're getting better at handling intense rides. Your body just knows what to do. Can't wait for next time. L." My mind went blank for a few seconds. Then came a cold calm, like everything inside me froze. There was no misunderstanding that message. No way to explain it as innocent. I took a photo, emailed it to myself, labeled it Note 1. Then I folded it neatly and put it right back where it was. I didn't want her to know I'd found it yet. I wanted her to keep acting normal, to show me exactly who she really was. A few minutes later, she came downstairs. Sweatpants, ponytail, pretending nothing had happened. She said hi like it was any other day. I watched her move around the kitchen, calm, casual, unbothered. She didn't look nervous at all. That confidence hit me harder than the note itself. She wasn't worried because she thought I'd never notice. In her mind, I was predictable, safe, harmless. She made small talk while grabbing her water bottle. I just nodded, every muscle locked in place. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I went to the garage and opened my laptop. Started listing every suspicious date and charge. Hotel stays, gas receipts, extra lessons. I built a timeline of every lie she told. Each entry made the truth heavier but clearer. She wasn't just cheating. She was comfortable doing it. That night, I slept in the guest room. Not because I was angry, but because I needed space. She thought I was sulking, maybe overworked. I let her think that. I let her stay blind. While she dreamed of her next ride, I planned my next move. The next morning, I called in sick. Not to rest, but to start preparing. I wasn't going to fight her with words or emotions. I was going to end this quietly, surgically, and legally. Because if she could lie with that much confidence, then I could destroy her world with the same calm precision. and she'd never see it coming. I spent the next morning gathering everything I needed. First, I made copies of the note and saved photos to a secure drive. Then I logged into our shared accounts and began digging through transactions. Hotel charges on weekends popped up like red flags. Meal receipts at strange times matched the dates she said she was at the barn. I found payments to a stable assistant that didn't make sense. Every charge told a piece of the story I already suspected. By noon, I had a folder of receipts, screenshots, and timestamps. I opened a new bank account in my name and moved my direct deposit. Left enough in the joint to avoid suspicion, but not much. I called 3 divorce attorneys and scheduled consultations the same day. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I wanted someone precise and blunt. The lawyer I chose didn't moralize. He asked for facts and proof. I handed him the folder and watched his face stay unreadable. He wrote down a plan in a way that felt clinical and safe. While he drafted papers, I backed up our shared computer files. Emails, calendar entries, and messages were copied to an external drive. I photographed her riding gear, boots, helmet, and tack for records. Anything that connected her to the barn and to Luke went into evidence. I traced mileage logs and matched them with her long lessons dates. Every lie she told started to look like a pattern on my spreadsheet. I set up a private folder, labeled with dates and short notes. Then I did the small, petty things that would make a big difference. I changed account passwords and set up a new insurance payee in my name. I parked my car somewhere she couldn't easily find it. I quietly retrieved the spare house key from a friend. I closed the loop on access points before things got messy. Throughout it all, I played the part of the oblivious husband. I cooked dinner, walked Buddy, and asked about her day like I cared. She talked about the barn, Luke, and upcoming events with ease. Her confidence was still unnerving, but now I felt steadier than she did. On Friday, the papers were ready to serve. I told the lawyer I wanted a clean hit, in person, at home. He advised a process server at mid-morning, when she'd likely be there. At 10:27 a.m., the knock came and my plans shifted into motion. She opened the door, confused, and accepted the envelope without reading. Then she scanned the first page, and color drained from her face. Her questions came fast, but I stayed calm and deliberate. I told her the truth in short sentences, so she couldn't twist them. I had already emailed Luke's wife a copy of the note and the timeline. By the next day, Luke's name vanished from the stable's website. I froze her card, so her purchases would stop without a scene. I contacted the barn owner and presented the evidence quietly. No public shouting, just facts on a table and consequences that followed. She tried to argue that it was a physical reaction, not an affair. I listened and let her say what she needed to say. Then I walked out with Buddy and let the silence do the rest. Everything went in order like clockwork, and the house began to feel different. She stood in the doorway, papers in hand, shaking. Her voice cracked when she asked what this was about. I told her it was about choices and the price of pretending. She tried to laugh, said I was overreacting. Then came the line that would haunt me forever. "You don't understand, Ryan. It wasn't cheating. It was a body reaction." I stared at her, waiting for her to say it was a joke. She didn't blink. She looked dead serious. She said horseback riding could trigger physical responses in women. That it was biological, involuntary, nothing emotional. She said Luke was helping her process the sensations. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. "You're blaming the horse now," I asked quietly. She folded her arms and looked proud, not guilty. "You wouldn't get it. It's a connection between body and motion." "No," I said. "It's an affair between excuses and ego." She started packing the kitchen, ranting about how I was cold. She said I'd been distant for years, emotionally unavailable. She claimed Luke made her feel seen and alive. I told her being seen doesn't require hotel receipts. Her face twisted like I'd hit a nerve. She said Luke understood her on a deeper level, that I only cared about stability and routine. She accused me of never supporting her growth. You mean the kind that happens between sheets? I said flatly. She stopped talking then, eyes darting everywhere but mine. I told her Luke's wife knew everything now, that he'd be unemployed by Monday morning. Her expression cracked, panic replacing arrogance. You told her, she whispered. I told the truth, I said, something you forgot how to do. She called me cruel, said I'd ruined lives. I told her she did that all by herself. I picked up Buddy's leash and headed for the door. She shouted that I was throwing everything away over one mistake. One mistake, I said. It's been months of them. Then I left. The door slammed behind me, final and heavy. For 3 days, she tried calling, texting, begging to talk. I didn't respond. Silence was my only language now. I froze the rest of our accounts, moved the last of my savings. She discovered her credit cards didn't work and sent furious messages. I ignored every one of them. I repossessed the car she used and parked it at a friend's place. Her name disappeared from the mortgage documents the next day. I gathered every trace of her from the house and packed it in boxes. Labeled each one with short, accurate words. Clothes. Makeup lies. Then I called the barn owner again, confirmed Luke's dismissal. By the end of that week, both of them had nothing left. Her fantasy world collapsed exactly the way it should have. Quiet, sharp, and deserved. I didn't yell. I didn't celebrate. I just let everything fall exactly where it was meant to land. The peace that followed wasn't joy. It was justice. Weeks passed before I saw her again. The house was quiet, clean, and finally mine. I slept better, ate better, even breathed easier. Buddy wagged his tail more, sensing the calm. I thought it was over, until one evening she showed up. No makeup, messy hair, coffee cup shaking in her hand. She stood on the porch like a stranger unsure of her welcome. I opened the door without saying a word. She stepped inside slowly, eyes scanning every corner. Like she was trying to remember what it felt like to belong here. Her voice was soft when she finally spoke. She said she'd made mistakes, that she'd lost herself. She said Luke wasn't who she thought he was. That he disappeared after losing his job. That her friends stopped calling, and money ran out. She said she'd been staying on a couch, thinking about everything. I just listened. I didn't interrupt once. She cried when she said she missed the routine. Missed the comfort of us, the quiet, the mornings with coffee. But she never said she missed me. She said she missed what I gave her. The stability, the peace, the life she ruined. When I didn't answer, she started shifting the blame again. Said I had grown distant long before she met Luke. That I made her feel invisible, unwanted. That her choices were a reaction, not betrayal. The same excuses wrapped in new words. She begged me to pause the divorce papers. Said we could go to counseling, start fresh somehow. She promised she would stop writing, cut all contact with him. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling, but my mind was steady. Everything she was saying came too late. The version of me who might have forgiven her was gone. I'd already closed every door she left open. Bank accounts separated, her name off the insurance. Even her old photos were boxed and stored away. I walked to the drawer, pulled out the final set of papers. Her eyes widened when I handed them to her. They were already signed, every page ready for her signature. She stared at them, then at me, like she couldn't believe it. Please, she whispered, don't do this yet. I didn't answer, I just waited. After a long silence, she realized there was nothing left to say. She set the papers down, but didn't take them. Then she turned toward the door, shoulders shaking quietly. No screams, no dramatic goodbye, just slow footsteps fading away. The door closed softly behind her, like a full stop at the end of a sentence. I made breakfast, walked Buddy, and let the quiet fill the house again. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't even feel sad. Just calm, steady, and free. Because she chased passion and chaos, but I chose peace. And for the first time in a long time, I finally had it. The divorce was finalized a month later. No drama, no lawyers fighting, just quiet signatures. She didn't show up to the final meeting. Her lawyer said she'd moved out of state. I didn't ask where, didn't want to know. The house stayed still, peaceful, like it was exhaling. I changed nothing except the locks and the name on the bills. Buddy followed me from room to room, tail wagging softly. I worked, cooked, and slept without tension in the air. No more waiting for messages, no more lies to decode. Sometimes, I caught myself remembering her laugh. But even that felt like it belonged to someone else. I didn't hate her anymore, I just stopped caring. She became a story I once lived through, not someone I loved. I learned that silence isn't emptiness, it's freedom. That revenge doesn't need to be loud to be complete. The pain faded, replaced by something cleaner, sharper, clarity. I walked Buddy that evening under the orange sky. The world felt lighter, balanced again. Because while she chased thrill and chaos, I found peace in the quiet. And I never looked back.